Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film. We head into the depths of occupied Europe this week with Sean Ellis's 2016 World War II epic, Anthropoid. As always, I'm joined by Mike A,
What's up?
Mike B,
Yep.
and Nate.
Did you say Anthropoid?
Yes, he did.
I'm sorry. This is my first correction of your language. Anthropoid? I don't even know how you
There's a few ways
said
to
it.
say it. Anthropoid.
There's an H in there,
Anthropoid.
Brian.
Us Americans say
Anthropoid.
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 It's okay. I knew what you meant.
I had a funny fucking witty comment, and I that stonewalled me so bad. I normally just flow with it. It's fine. It's normally Mike B's job. I couldn't stand that one.
My New Englandese.
Fuck you.
Well, no. I want to know now. What was your funny, witty comment you had planned to start talking about this very depressing movie?
Stens never malfunction.
Oh, they do.
I know that's the joke.
That's the joke.
Yes, Mike, that is the joke.
Yeah.
As McBain would say, that's the joke.
Again, we're off to a great fucking start.
Anthropoid.
You know, like we thought we were gonna be.
Are you happy,
Anthropoid.
Nathan?
Yes, thank you.
Anthropoid.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's the one time I'll ever do that to you.
Yeah, fucking right.
Baby, I love you.
Yeah.
Baby, come back.
I'll bring the Vaseline.
Oof. Very gracious there.
Wow. So what do you guys think?
Well, first time seeing it, and there's a lot of things in it that I like, and very few things I didn't like. So, come out swinging. I thought it was pretty darn good. I liked how fucking like bleak it was. Like, oh my god, this is. It was kind of like was it The 12th Man? Everything felt very dangerous, which I liked a lot about it, and some other behind enemy lines espionage type stuff, commando type stuff. It always seems like everything is never too dangerous, even though everyone is cautious. But in this, everything seemed very dangerous, which I liked a lot. And I thought it was pretty damn good, just coming out swinging.
No, dude, I 100% agree with you on that. I did pick this one this week, but this is like one of my probably favorite kind of resistance movies, I think. Mainly it really does strike a lot of notes really well. For me, it checks off all the boxes, cinematography, sound, actors,
the sets. Oh my god.
Yeah, the sets. And
Yeah.
I believe, and I'm pretty damn sure it was filmed in Prague, which Prague has never changed in the last 500 years.
To their their pleasure, yeah. So
yeah, no, it's really funny actually. I have a lifelong friend who I've known since childhood, and he went and taught English in Europe and ended up in Prague, and has pretty much decided he's going to settle there for his life. And it's really funny. He I being a really astute study of this time period, I was all about finding about this whole entire assassination attempt and all that kind of stuff. And I remember, I think it was the first year he was there, I was like, hey, have you ever been to this church? Have you ever seen all the bullet scarring on this building? And he's just like, which one is that? I'm like, oh, I can't remember at the moment, but it's this church. He's like, huh, is that by this? And I'm like, I don't know, dude, I'm not there. You're there. And he's like, oh, well, let me look. He goes, oh yeah, that's the church I buy weed behind. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, dude. But no, it is, again, I guess go back on my statement. It's Prague hasn't changed in 500 years, if not more. I mean, he tells me really cool stories of the city itself, and how much the medieval time period still is ingrained in that city, in its architecture and its stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that they were able to film in this place and reset everything to look like the period, because of how entrenched Prague is in time. It never changes. And but in terms of like the cinematography, I'll tell you one thing that really does really well with me is sound in this movie. 100%. And I want to let everyone talk, but those are the big things for me is editing, sound, and cinematography is also really good. And the story, yeah, there might be like a little bit of a love triangle or a four-wheel set or whatever, however you want to look at it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It didn't distract anything for me. So Brian, what'd you think?
No, I happen to agree. And this is a film that came out during an era like where they made a lot of resistance films, and they made a lot of bad ones, like the Resistance Banker, Flamin' Citron, like the mid-teens. I don't know why, but they made a lot of these resistance style films. Oh God,
wasn't Black Book one too?
Yeah, yep, that was another one.
I've never seen it. I know you tell me that's a terrible movie.
I had a friend of mine.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
I had a friend of mine who was like, "Don't watch fucking Black Book. All she does is dye her pubes." And I was like, "What the fuck?" So
that's an intriguing thing to say.
So yeah, that's as far as I've been with Black Book. Allied, I woke up after a house party and my head was like exploding, and my friends were watching Allied, and I caught like 30 minutes of it where it's just like Tom. Who is it? Brad Pitt. Yeah, Brad Pitt like running around, and it's just like my wife's not going to betray me. And then who guessed? She betrayed him. Yeah,
it's funny you watch something like this or something, and then something like Allied. It's like, did we step back in terms of quality? This is like a movie from the 50s.
Yeah. Well, there's so many bad resistance movies. I mean, my opinion, there's 3 good ones, maybe 4. There's this one, which is the best modern one in my opinion. There's A Man Escaped, which is this amazing 1950s French minimalistic film. There's Army of Shadows, which is the 1960s French resistance film made by the director. Actually was in the resistance as a kid, so he basically made his story. And then you can argue that The Train is a pretty good resistance movie if you've seen that. I think Michael is the only person that would have heard of that, with Burt Lancaster.
Yeah,
from the 50s. That's just a very interesting film for its time. But no, there's so many shitty ones, you know? You can even argue that the original, what is it? Inglourious Bastards is a resistance movie, you know?
You talking about the 78 one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe that's more of a Commando movie, but like, again, there's just so many bad resistance films. So when you do see a good one, it really, wow, this is fucking good.
How dare you say mag dumping Hitler in the face is a bad movie?
No.
That's the Tarantino one.
Yeah, I remember.
No,
I love that.
I know.
I do love that film. Not gonna lie, and I have a funny story associated with that. I've probably told before that Nazis versus NATO, but I'll tell it another time. But anyway, no, this is a really amazing movie. It's really well done. It does a good job to tell the story and just the realities of being the resistance, and that, you know, every step that you take is just a dangerous path and could, you know, result in you getting compromised or killed, you know, from beginning to end. And I love how this film just, you know, starts with them landing. You know, it's just no bullshit, none of this like, you men, here's a map of Europe, and it's like none of this. No, it's like, here we are, we're on the ground, we're moving forward. No, it's great all around. And it's one of those films where, you know, there's a lot you could say about the cinematography and the sets and everything. But you focus more on that because it's just so well made and it's so good. You know, it's hard to really talk about it as a whole. So what do you think about it, Mike?
Yeah, I love the fact that they told this story, because Reynard Heydrich was one of the biggest pieces of shit in the Nazi party. Like, there was a lot of them. And that, so for me to say that, it's like, that guy was a fucking, I don't know, like, piece of shit's not strong enough, but like, one of the worst human beings to have ever walked the earth. Absolute fucking disgusting piece of shit. And he was such a disgusting piece of shit that the people of Czechoslovakia were willing to risk everything they had, like the resistance, to like kill him. And the people of Czechoslovakia at that point were like, it's like 41, 42. and they're like, okay, we'll just deal with it, whatever. But it was like this one guy was such a piece of shit that they were like, he has to die, like immediately, and we don't care what the fuck it takes. And yeah, that was a true story, and like they actually showed that, and like now again, like we always say, like people can look up this story and be like, oh, who's Reynard Hardried, or Reynard Heydrich. Just an absolute scum fuck.
Heydrich? What?
Yeah. Well, and the way they actually showed the assassination attempt, quote unquote, was actually pretty accurate from what the accounts say, of where they thought it was just completely fucked. And they're like, oh, fuck, he survived and whatever. And the Sten did actually fuck up and whatever. And it's like, I loved that part of it that they showed. Yeah, these Czech guys that got out of Czechoslovakia and then went back, parachuted in to kill this dude. And they had to trust people and like, they had no choice. That was really fucking cool because it's a great story. And they got that motherfucker. That's the thing. They ended up killing him, which is good because it was great for humanity. Because that guy was a mass murdering piece of shit. But like people replaced him or whatever. But he was just exceptionally mean. Like I'm not going to go into like, I've done a lot of research on him in the past. He's a little fucking wannabe piece of shit. And he finally got the position to be a non-wannabe. He was in the Reichsmarine in like the 1920s and all that shit. And then he joined the Nazi party and like, oh, I could finally be somebody. And then he was just a ruthless piece of shit. And that's why they loved him. And he rose so high, so fast in the ranks. And for some Czech guys to fly back from England to kill him, and he gets killed by that, that's poetic justice. I love it. The whole story is just fucking phenomenal. Now, as far as the film is concerned, when they were actually sitting there on that corner, waiting, and he's assembling the Sten gun and everything, my heart was actually pounding. I'm sitting there going,
it's very well done. Yeah.
I know the story and everything. Like, I know what happened, kind of subjectively, but like, I'm like, okay, how are they going to portray this? And all of a sudden they're like, they showed it. And I'm like, whew, putting myself in there because they portrayed it very well. The cinematography, the angles, the shots and the sound, especially like Nate said, very good. Very good. And it's like, okay, my heart was pounding. And I'm like, are you guys going to do this? Even though I knew the outcome, but it's like, and when he goes out, and what was really cool is like the Sten gun actually malfunctioned the way a Sten does malfunction. It's the magazine. And he goes, and it shows the bolt going halfway forward and it just doesn't get it out of the magazine. He cocks it again and it just does the same thing. That's how a Sten malfunctions. And I'm like, thank you for showing something accurate on film with firearms like that. And it's like, oh, that's awesome. Now, I had a huge problem with the whole post like assassination. Okay. I had a problem with that between the church scene and whatever. It was the whole very tropey, stereotypical Nazis bad, Nazis interrogating, Nazis causing pain, Gestapo shit. And it's like, did we have to spend so much fucking time on that? So that's a gripe I have. We'll talk about that later, but like, that was one thing. The church scene, it did happen. It legitimately happened. And whatever, but like, I thought after the assassination attempt, the film kind of went down in quality. Not cinematography, not sound, but writing wise and just scene wise. So that's my opening thoughts.
Interesting.
I guess to jump right into the deep end, I do want to bring up the subject that you said about how you said it was too much. I'm guessing the torturing. Is that what you're talking about with like heads and buckets and stuff?
Well, and the hunt scene with the torturing. Yes.
I mean, I disagree with that only because do you think maybe like okay, so I want to digest that in general.
Yeah.
Are you saying like are you saying that that's bullshit, or are you saying like
No,
why did
no.
you have to like sit on that for X amount
Why
of
did you
time?
have to sit on that for X amount of minutes? Yes, that's my point. I'm
Mhm.
not saying it's bullshit because I know that's what they did, but it's also been done 10,000 fucking times in other films.
Right.
And so you've already got a good film going, talking about a story that has really, I don't think, ever been talked about on film. And you have to spend that much time on the trope of Nazis bad, Gestapo bad, torture, all this shit.
But Gestapo is bad.
What? I'm not saying they're not.
Okay.
But like the amount of time they could have spent telling the actual story of like, yes, okay, they torture people. You could put that in there. I just
Mhm.
think they spent way too much time on that segment of the film of like the hunting down, doing this, doing that, and then the torture and whatnot. I think they could have condensed that a lot.
I think where that is in the film is I think that is trying to show, and I guess you could say it's trying to show that, excuse me, that the like the violinists like held out as long as possible, versus you compare that boy to this other guy who caved immediately and saved himself and his family. I think it's trying to show that the kid, the violinist, only broke at the very end of being like really screwed up. I think that's where I think I agree with you in a sense that maybe it's holding too long, but I do agree with how it ramped up because there is, and I know you're agreeing with this, but there are there's factual evidence that those things did happen, or,
Oh, yeah, for
or
sure.
interrogation, all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. So you're just, so it's not historical argument. It's
No, it's not. It's not.
it's a stylistic choice of how long to stay on a subject
Correct.
within a movie.
Correct.
Am I right? Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to verify that. That's
Yeah.
all.
No. That's what I was trying to say. But like,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah.
No, I mean like you know you had said it kind of went down in quality. Now the church fight, I feel like I really enjoy it. I would say that, the church fight near the end, like after the guys on top die, I do think kind of lingers or meanders, but I don't think it detracts from the quality of the film.
I just think it became an action film.
It feels very actiony. There's some parts of it that I don't care for. Like, eventually, just like the Germans are just running into the gunfire. They're just like coming through the
That's
doorway.
what I mean.
It's like,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's like, I mean, they don't act like professional soldiers. And then
right.
also like for a few shots when the guy's shooting off the balcony with the Sten, he's just like that. And I'm
that is how you use a Sten, and like that's.
I know, but it just didn't seem like he was really like. It just seemed like he was spraying all over the place. It didn't really seem like he was honing in on any targets to me.
I thought you guys would have chimed in on the guy with the pistol who was going like that.
I was about to.
Yeah.
I was gonna get there, but like, also not unrealistic, but like, again, it's an action film at that point. Like, this has been a historical drama up until the assassination, and then they're on the run. We get that. Why then does it have to become an action film?
I think that it's just really hard, to tell that story with it not becoming some type of like Thelma and Louise, shootout or something. I don't know.
I like that. I like that analogy.
Again, like that's just, what are you gonna do? Oh, the Germans are here. It's like you gotta.
I mean, like I didn't mean to cut you off, Brian. If you had more to that, I just
fuck you, Nathan.
I feel like you had to have it turn into an action movie in a way only because the actual skirmish and the holdout was actually like that. Now,
right.
Yes. And so, do I agree that the 3 Germans who run into the corridor knowing there's a guy there and fall over dead with 1 hit bullet each, do I think that's a little corny? Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But I do getting 25% of physics and reality wrong versus 75% of it being actually pretty well done in presentation.
Yep.
I'm going to side with the 75% because
Mhm.
we've seen what it's like full 100.
Oh yeah, I mean, just little shit like good, all the million things that are good will, outweigh it, obviously. But
Right.
just those things, you obviously you pick up on them, and but okay, I mean, going back a little bit, what I loved about this movie is, and Brian kind of mentioned it already, it is all of the fat is cut out of this fucking thing. Like, there's no part where they're in England. Like, this is your mission. This is your mission. There's no shit where we see Heydrich, doing his shit. We only see him during the assassination scene.
Right. I love that. Yeah, that was great.
That was really cool. I liked how he's barely even in it.
Oh, don't you think I'm evil? like those kind of scenes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, because you know he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, you should know enough history, even from the little text things that they've given you, that he's a piece of shit. Now, I do want to chime in, and I'm only going off this, Mike A, because it reminded me of a conversation we've had, is that you hate text in the beginning and text at the end of a movie.
I thought it was just the right amount for this.
Okay.
Because
where it's not, if there's enough teaching history not to be like making you feel something.
Right.
It's
I was
standard text beginning and end kind of thing.
I was kind of thinking that when this started, because when it started, I didn't like it. I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of these, and but then the movie, it's just like, bam, we don't even need to see anything else. It's like this is what you need to know, and now the story begins. It wasn't.
Score and Third Reich ago.
Yes.
That's pretty good, Brian.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But
I'm saving that to put in like in front of a fucking something.
It'd be a great
Fourth
reel.
gone, third I could go.
and it's funny, Brian, you mentioned like, oh geez, there was a lot of these espionage and resistance movies in the 20 teens and stuff like that. And I think it's funny, a movie that I was kind of thinking of while watching this was Valkyrie. And Valkyrie, though, in my opinion, does everything that I don't. It does everything wrong, in my opinion. I mean, it does a lot of things wrong. And what I liked about this movie is that the tense scenes, what Mike already mentioned, the tense scenes are legitimately tense. What I hate about Valkyrie is that they try and do that, and it's like really obvious that they're doing it, and it doesn't work at all. It's like, we know Hitler didn't die. Like, come on already.
I just rewatched Valkyrie not too long ago, and what I find funny about it is the beginning, where it's like,
Ich bin
ein Berliner, it is like,
Tom Cruise,
no,
And then
I am actually Tom Cruise.
And then it fades into English because it's like, no, we're not a real movie. We appeal to dumb Americans.
If I remember correctly, and we'll get off of Valkyrie once I say this, is if I remember correctly, they were starting to build the movie around German speaking actors and people who could actually do German. And then I think the studio or the director wanted to go with Tom Cruise, and they had to pivot because Tom Cruise can't do fucking German.
No, if he wanted to really, that would have been a great way to show he had some serious guts, as if he actually did do German. But anyway, kind of like how Russell.
He tries, but it's like someone butt fucking a horse. It's like
Yeah, but I mean, if Russell Crowe can learn how to play a violin for a movie, someone can learn how to. If Jim Caviezel can learn how to speak, Latin and Aramaic for Passion of the Christ, so can Tom Cruise. Can do it with German, Aramaic. That's how it's pronounced.
Scientology doesn't allow him to speak pig Latin.
Well,
okay?
that's his problem. So, I guess he's screwed. But the reason why I brought it up is just because it's kind of the same thing where they create suspense, and this movie, in my opinion, does it very well when it comes to a situation that either you probably might already know the outcome to. And Valkyrie, in my opinion, it falls flat when it tries to do that. This movie, though, I thought did it really well.
Luckily, Nathan hates Valkyrie, so
I actually don't mind Valkyrie, but I know all the problems with it. I still enjoy it when I watch it.
Same.
I did want to talk about suspense, and since we're on that subject, is that what the thing I think that makes suspense work in films, I think, has to be a marriage of like three different things. It has to be that the actor does a good job, the editing is the editing is well done, or the cinematography helps. I think the biggest looking for the biggest thing to make a scene suspenseful. There we go. Hard with the loud guy with the lisp. Scene suspenseful. I can't say the word now, but yeah. Is that you have to have that marriage of sound, and sound is very important within those scenes. And
it was
I
quiet.
think,
That's the thing.
the really cool thing is that it builds this huge. If I remember correctly, it builds a slow crescendo up from the music from the beginning of when they're walking to the street to the very pinnacle point when the sten. Too many S words today. The sten jams. You have all the sound cuts out.
Yeah.
You have a white noise to replace everything when you're expecting something. And then you have, booms. I think it's faded booms and stuff like that. So it's kind of like this muffled thing of like adrenaline kicks in at that moment and does it. It's a great representation of building that tense moment, but then also lets you wonder what you should be hearing, because you don't know what you're hearing because everything's muted. And I think that's a very, very interesting stylistic choice, because what you could have done is gone full nuts to bust your load right there, loud explosions, gunshots, everything. But you choose to cut it to solid mute, build it back, build the scene back up in different forms of sound, and then bring all the sound back in at one point.
Well, and like even with the so when Cillian Murphy when he's got the sten, you hear the ka-chunk.
Well, the crescendo is when he throws the sten away. That's when the crescendo. It's when Heydrich jumps up. That's when all the
maybe
sound cuts
perhaps,
out.
but like you can also hear, like when you were saying about the sound, you can hear the ka-chunk, and then he cocks it again, and it's ka-chunk again, and he's looking down, and then the guys in the car, Heydrich and his driver, are like, "Oh, this is an assassination attempt," because like
right.
But the sound of the ka-chunk. Can you imagine being that guy? Being Yosef, sitting there in front of this fucking car and hearing that actual noise, like ka-chunk.
No, I can't.
And then you go, fuck, and then you cock it again, and you hear the same sound. You're like,
yeah.
And that's kind of what, like, that's why it was, it was building up suspense. My heart was pounding, and all of a sudden, when it was the ka-chunk, I was like, my heart just sunk. I'm like, oh fuck. Even though it's like, yeah, people are gonna be dead if this goes right. It's still like, the way they filmed it and had the sound of like everything going on, it was like you were right there. And I loved that. The way they shot it, the angles, because they weren't like these super extreme angles or whatever. It was just like, oh, his weapon fucked up big time twice.
The cadence helps with that as well.
And that's what I think it was. It was one of the better kind of quote unquote action scenes. And then it's like, how do you react? What do you do? Do you pull out your pistol? Yeah, well, he does. He tries to, but those guys have a draw on him. And then it's like, yeah. And so, yeah, the music, I actually didn't even notice the score in that scene. I really didn't.
There's no sound effects at all. Like it mutes after Heydrich gets up, I believe.
It's like this kind of like it's like this vacuum ambience,
So it's kind of like the
right. Yeah. It's like you see Heydrich like but you don't.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
And it builds like that's what I was trying to say, is that the essences of the scenes come back gradually as like it doesn't go to plan. It gets like more and more louder. Like it's very interesting.
It's so well done. It's so well done. Yeah.
The sound comes back when the explosion happens. I just watched it, and
when he throws the impact grenade.
Yeah.
Or the
is it just grenade? Is it all come back on the impact grenade, or does it come back in stages like boom and then stuff starts to slowly fade in?
No,
I have to
it's
rewatch
like the
it,
explosion happens and then like it shows on the tram and people scream, and then the sound comes, everything is back.
Thank you. Okay, you just reminded me. Thank you. All you had to say was tram, and I heard and I pictured it, all the glass and the screaming. So yeah.
Well, that's also realistic. Yeah. Like that's
the chunks on the sten though are like really audible, when he does it. So, but
I wasn't imagining that.
Yeah.
I wasn't imagining that. Yeah, because it's so well done that it's like it's again like real life shit, where it's like you remember certain things, but you're like, oh shit, when the bomb went off, it brought me to like that. They whoever the fuck was involved in that entire scene did a really good job, in my opinion.
And if I remember correctly, they really did study the actual documented events of what I'm sure they filled in the blanks with some things, but the people who got shot are the people who got shot. The people, how things happened is how things happened. I remember I even remember watching a documentary. They said like, well, this person walked in front of the car to slow it down,
Yep.
which was the guy,
Mhm.
like that. Like they show all that. So like, I'm pretty 100% sure they really, really tried to nail that down.
I don't think any
T.
civilians got shot in the real thing. I think that was
No, but that probably wouldn't have been reported either.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
So
the
it's like-
Germans
it's
are the
like-
ones. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, Mike. It's like you leave some things up to interpretation. So if they don't want to say that civilians got shot because they don't want to show that these guys were somewhat successful, even though I think in the movie it was the German who shot the.
No, it
civilian.
was the German who shot the
it
civilian.
was.
Yeah.
And that, in my opinion, was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I get it. Like, yes, the Germans are going to be the ones who
Well,
murder
they would have been shit panicking,
Right,
Because
yeah.
they're like, oh fuck,
Mhm.
like what the fuck is going on? Like they don't know what they're just trying to have to react and like, what the hell is this guy? He's running away.
Yeah.
Bam, he must be one of the culprits. And it's like, yeah, that's not gonna be recorded.
I like after the dust settles and they run away. I like the shot of Heydrich when he sits down and he's like, you can tell it's
Oh,
like,
he knows he's fucked.
but yeah, and a million thoughts are running through his head, and he's just like his adrenaline is going crazy right now, and so that I thought was
No, that entire
what I-
scene was fucking brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
Like master fucking cinematography and like filmmaking.
Mhm.
Well, the one lasting shot that I think really does speak volume, because unless you know history, you don't know what that means. Is that it's on Heydrich and then it pans to the back of the car
and you see the smoking
with-
hole. Yeah,
with the smoking hole and the blood on it, because I believe he died from shrapnel from the grenade
did.
that went off. And
Blood
Yeah, it
lodged
went through his
inside somewhere.
Yeah, it went
right?
through like his like diaphragm in his stomach, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
and he had a very painful death. Good riddance.
Yeah, good
But,
for him.
you know,
Fuck him.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like that's he, yeah, and then like showing him getting up and jumping up and starting to shoot back, like that's straight up adrenaline. Yeah, that's true. Like yeah, he's wounded and everything, but yeah,
He lingered for a while. He's an interesting character, a really horrible character, but he's depicted in that WWII conference thing pretty well. Not pretty well because it's just very well made and it tells the truth because the minutes are kept from the meeting. I forget what it's called.
Are you talking about that? The one that
Oh, like Sean Bean
has
and
that?
everything.
No. Are you talking about the one that's like it's got Tom Hiddleston as a radio man? He's in that, and it's like called Conspiracy or the Constant something or the. It starts with a C. It's got Kenneth, the guy from Valkyrie. In it.
yeah.
The guy who puts a grenade to his throat. Kenneth
Branagh.
guy played. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's in it. I
He-
don't remember what that
He
movie's
plays
called.
he plays Reinhard Heydrich in it. Yeah.
Oh, he does. Oh, I didn't know he
That's
played
Ringo.
Reinhard.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen that movie in like 10
Yeah,
years. So
that's
yeah.
why he's
Okay.
he's very blonde in that movie.
Okay, that explains
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to
No worries.
to interrupt you.
But yeah, so he was put in charge to like kind of take care of this area of the Reich. And yeah, he did have this very interesting encounter with an assassination, and he was full of adrenaline and he fought back, and then I believe it was blood poisoning from horsehair that was from his seat he was sitting on because the shrapnel propelled it into his
Right.
flesh, and he was in the
Oh.
hospital. And he was doing really well, and he was, had the typical cameras showed up, and oh, thank you, Fuhrer, I'm doing good, and then he was doing really good, and for like a week or two, and then bam, it hit him, and like he died like in 12 hours.
Wow.
But I'm pretty sure it was this, sepsis or something from the horsehair. So, yeah, so yeah, really bad way to go, but fuck him, like you said,
It's like, yeah, it's like fuck him, but like, and imagine being the guys that did that. And like, oh, he's in a hospital, he's doing fine. It's like, well, we're fucked. Our families are fucked.
Mhm.
Anybody we know is fucked. And then like shit, and then you find out, oh, he's dead. Okay, well, it's somewhat worth it, I guess.
There, everybody talks about the resistance during the war, and it's a very interesting subject because not everyone was drawn to resist or could resist or wanted to resist,
Right.
It's a
Well, yeah,
very
yeah.
thorny question. The Allies said, or veterans said at the end of the war, when they were liberating these towns in France, all these guys would come out in these old uniforms, like I was in the Resistance, and they were called the Mothball Army because they smelled like mothballs.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, sure. Everyone's uncle was in the Resistance when they were, came out of the womb. They had a knife, and it's like, oh my God. But the reality is that it was this very dangerous craft that most of the time would get you killed very quickly.
You got caught most of the time. Yeah.
Depending on the country, depends on how quickly you were caught and killed. Like Holland, most of their resistance network was like compromised for the whole war, and the Germans were literally calling in agents to their own drop zones and capturing them the second that they landed, and torturing them and killing them, and like keeping the ruse going for months, for years. So the reality of being the resistance during the war is a really horrible one. And not just imagine today, if you wanted to do resistance kind of shit, and how hard it would be to do it and conceal your tracks and everything. You're taking the same risks that they did. You're going against a society that's going to hunt you, and safety is a very far place away.
And your possibility of death is greater than any soldier, because once you're found out, once somebody just snitches on you, even if you're suspected of it, you're done.
And it's going to be bloody, and it's going to be bad. And, that's what I really liked in this film. Like, they were taught, and they kept constantly putting the round in the magazine, because when you're doing something, you're doing something. You're not thinking about what's going on around you and the actions of what you're doing. So, it's a very calming thing, as strange as that can be. But repeating a task a million times and doing it in a period of chaos, it's like, okay, this is it. This is what's going to happen. It's very final in a way, but it's also very calming in a way. But that's
because at least at least you know
exactly. You're like, okay, this is the option that I've been taught and that exists, and this is what's going to occur. But that being said, you really don't hear about major successes within the resistance. You hear about the resistance, but you don't hear about, oh, this is what they did. So that being said, this is probably the most successful resistance operation for the whole war, and also the highest Nazi ranking official that was killed.
Well, he was third in command at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's nothing really else.
Fat ass Goering, So.
But it is insane what happened, and it's crazy that it actually didn't end up succeeding.
Well, it was just all the odds were against them.
Oh yeah, completely, and
everything.
All the odds are against any operation, but
No, but this one was like completely fucked. Like in real life, it was like again, like they said in the film, like he was scheduled to like be going to Paris. It was like one of his last days, or his last day in Prague. And they were like, well, we have to do it now. Because they had balls. They're like, hey, we were sitting here on a mission. We have to fucking do this because he's going to go to Paris and do the same shit. And fuck that.
It's just like, I forget his name, but the guy that killed Reynard, Heydrich, Ferdinand, the
Gavrilo Princip.
Yeah. They had the assassination attempt and it failed. And then he went to a sandwich shop. And then he drove in front of the sandwich shop because the driver was lost. And then, yep, it's going to start a war. So,
yep, got my
first
my
you don't
fucking
succeed,
FM model.
Try again.
FM model 1900 and fucking, yeah.
If your plot fails, go to Subway because there's a really good chance it might not have failed yet.
In no way is Brian telling you how to plot and pull off a successful assassination. He's just talking shit.
Lee Harvey Oswald went to a movie and see what happened. He didn't get a Subway. So, just saying.
Nothing but awfulness comes from Subway.
Subway's from my state too. Mm-hmm. So
another shitty thing to come out of your state besides yourself and everything else.
At least I'm not like MacArthur from Wisconsin.
Go fuck yourself, you fucking child.
You're afraid of the truth.
So real.
I shall return.
So
go ahead, Nate.
So real quick, because I feel like we haven't really kind of done a kindergarten level of the timeline, um, of history where this is. So like, it can Brian or hell, Mike A, you're welcome to, but I know it's normally Brian and Mike who know all the facts for immediately. Um, the timeline of of Germany and Czechoslovakia, and it's just kind of like a very small like paragraph summary of what was happening at the time when this film was starting to take place. Because I just kind of want to. I've noticed that I know a lot of our listeners are avid, historians and all that kind of stuff, and they may know, but there might be like one or two guys that just don't know why we're talking about this. So, just if you can say like the invasion of Czechoslovakia in like a
Well,
paragraph,
it wasn't an invasion; it was an annexation. In 38 base. Brian, do you want me to do this, or you want to do this?
Yeah, you got this.
Okay. So yeah, in 1938, Hitler basically and the high officials said, "Hey, Czechoslovakia, we want you," and mainly for their manufacturing, because they were manufacturing really good quality, what they called tractors, which were tanks, weapons, and all that shit. And they're a very small country right next to Germany. They're in the central part of Europe, and they were like, "Hey, long story short, we can either invade you by force, or you can agree, and we'll just occupy Czechoslovakia, and then we'll pay you guys what you're worth from your factories and all that shit, but we're going to be occupying you, or we can just straight up invade you." Now, had the Czechs or Czechoslovakian government said, "Yeah, try to invade us, fuckers," that would have been the start of World War II in 1938, but it wasn't. And so they basically said, "Well, we don't have the capacity to take on your military. We don't want to do that and like have our infrastructure destroyed." Again, this is the TLDR. This is the fucking basic bitch
intro level stuff. Yeah,
basic
I
bitch
stated that.
explanation. Yep. And so then the Czechoslovakian government said, "Okay, we agree to that. No shots fired. Please don't fucking do that." Okay, and so German troops crossed into Czechoslovakia in 38. And it was an occupation. It was an annexation. And they said, "You're now part of the Reich. And we're going to tell you how things are governed, but we're going to still let you do your own thing. Don't fuck with us." And then a lot of the Czechoslovakians were like, that's complete bullshit. That's not good. And that's where you get the resistance. Most of those people were put down before 1940. That's the thing. And like Brian was saying, is like most resistance in most countries in the Second World War in Europe were put down immediately. They were found out, and it was like, you can't trust anybody. And so then some of them escaped. Some of these Czechoslovakian soldiers and just civilians would escape through France and other countries and go to England, because England wasn't too happy with, because they had a conference in, what was it, 38 or 39? With the Czech government or Czechoslovakian government, the French government, the British government, and whatever, and the Germans, and they were trying to negotiate. It didn't work, and so then the British government was like, "Yeah, any Czechoslovakians that don't like that can come up here, and we'll talk about things." And so they started doing this clandestine bullshit before they even got involved, and they were like, "Hey, we'll supply you guys, and we'll give you Sten guns and fucking, ammunition and maps and all that shit if you guys can put up resistance." Again, most of those people were taken out. So that's where you see these two guys parachuting back into Czechoslovakia. They're Czech guys, or the one Slovakian, but like they parachute back in from England with a mission. Okay, well, we've got these guys on our target list, so take them out. And that's where we find ourselves in this film, is like, it's a clandestine operation. But this was actually in late 41. So they had been there for a while. And then, the UK was already in the war, but they had been keeping these guys there, getting information from them about what's going on in Europe. And yeah, so that's where you get that. And then it's like 1941 is when they realized that Heydrich was a fucking problem. A big problem. And he wasn't just like everybody's like, oh, he was just executing Jews and whatever, like the typical SS. No. He was executing the resistance people, or thought they were resistance people. Like, he was executing people just on a suspicion of being resistance and not conforming to the Nazi party. It was like a compliance thing for him. It was like, that was his mission, is like, okay, we're going to gain compliance through fear. And this is how we're going to fucking do it. Bad dude. And that's why these two guys were tasked to parachute in and take care of him. So
I believe and thank you for that. One of the things that if I remember correctly, from the film, that I think it did a really good job, and Brian, you're the one who I think he's probably watched the most Resistance movies out of all of us.
I
That
resist
kinda
this
is your forte.
conversation.
You resist this conversation?
Mhm.
Okay, well, too fucking bad. I'm going to interrogate you now. This in terms of showcasing paranoia and that kind of, like, I thought it was very interesting. Like, for example, like the dinner scene where the two girls come in looking like, all dolled up and everything. And I hadn't really thought about that until Cillian Murphy's character had said that. It's like, oh great, you're like two of the prettiest. Congratulations, you're both knockout gorgeous, and now everyone's looking at us, and now you're putting a target on our backs, per se, of people looking into us. Like, I thought that was a very interesting perspective, because that's not something that you normally see in these movies, at least for me. That kind of conversation. Do you think that they did? And my whole lead into this is: do you think they nailed down that kind of paranoia showcasing in the cinematography in this movie pretty well?
Yes, because every decision matters. Every little thing could give you away. So you have to take everything into account. One of my favorite scenes from The Great Escape is when they're getting on the bus, and good luck, thank you, because when it's easy to have little slip-ups like that. They say that, and just to go off on a tangent, the quickest way to find out if somebody is a spy or not is to punch them, because 99% of the time you can't stop the subjective swear word in your natural language. That's just built in. That's just fuck. So that's a way you can interrogate somebody. So yeah, little things matter. So shit like that is very important. I know of another story from the Cold War where they found the spy who's from the East Bloc in the West because he held his flowers a certain way when he bought them. Like, he would hold them upside down and walk to his car and put them like that. And that was something they did in Serbia. So small things matter. Even what they have in Inglourious Bastards has some weight to it. The 3 verse 3.
Yep.
It's stupid shit that gets you killed. Always. That's always the rule. So yeah, it is nice to have that little, add-on, like just random, but something that they do in Army of Shadows that I love is they have a traitor, and they find out this guy's a traitor. He gave up one of their own, got killed by the Gestapo. So they lure him to this apartment, and they're going to kill him. And it's a vacant apartment, and they have a gun and a pillow, and he's the guy they're going to shoot, and they hear children in the background playing. It's like, fuck, what do you do? It's the reality of the situation. Things can really be clear cut, like, we're going to go here and do that, but it's like, oh, well, you're wearing a lipstick that people here can't get for the last 3 years because of rationing. So that's going to draw a question to it. Again, little things matter. Little things get you killed. So yeah, it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that kind of shit. And just other really random, one really good or kind of really good Resistance movie. Again, Michael might be the only person that's seen this, is Operation Crossbow, which is from the 60s. And it's about the operation, or a pseudo operation, to go knock out the German rocket program. And it's pretty well done, for its time. Obviously, they go into the German lab. It looks like NASA at the end of the movie. But,
weird.
We'll get to it. It's very interesting. So, but long story short, in that movie, they have assumed identities of people from Europe, in this case, engineers, and so they're going through all these checkpoints, and they arrive at this place work and they have all their permits and everything's correct. And right as they're going to go through this, into the building, they pull one of the guys aside and they're like, "Oh, we have to talk to you." And they need to go pull him to a room to interrogate him. We're like, "Oh shit, this is it," right? Well, it turns out that the name that they used for this guy was of a fugitive that was a murderer who was known in Berlin and who was murdering people in air raid shelters. So they rode this guy, like, to try to break him for like, "Oh, you're actually a serial killer from Berlin," and the guy wrote it out until they murdered him, basically, because if he, said said otherwise, "Oh, I'm not him," he would have given up the operation. But it just goes to show that sometimes you can have rock solid credentials to the point where it actually deters from an operation, and it's up to the individual to figure it out. But very long-winded answer to your question, Nate. Yes,
No, it's fine. That's what I wanted.
Stupid shit matters.
Mm-hmm. There was the other thing I was gonna say, and then we can.
So you can't just
launch
buy
into
one,
whatever.
Packaging or whatever of Old Bay. You have to buy two. So
The one thing that I thought was very interesting. You had said, like, the resistance things. The things I thought was really good, and I've seen in other movies like that, but was when after that whole club scene, the girls are walking with them down the street and they're all together, but they're making it look like they're not. So like the two guys are on either side of the street with each girl. And I thought that was interesting. I also really liked how it showed the paranoia of the solo guy who walked out of the shop and is following him with a bag. The other guy who's standing by the corner of the street, and he's constantly looking at them and turning back. And there's this whole conversation going. So the whole entire time you have this conversation with this woman who you're just starting to meet, with this character that you've just kind of started to meet already. You're building that relationship with them as the paranoia is still really in there. Like, I thought that was very interesting and a very great way to show that, because you could have shown like someone being paranoid separate of a conversation. I just felt like that was a very good way to weave the paranoia, that the paranoia never stops, that's constant in the day-to-day, even if there is like quote unquote a break, like that kind of thing. And that comes right after that conversation. It's like, this isn't a break for us. Like, there is no stopping.
Yeah.
Like, we're constantly at a go. I thought that was just very, very unique in the way that they do it. And I think that's why this film, I think, really does sit very high with most of us. As I think as a resistance movie, that tension never releases. I think the only time that tension releases is when he puts a bullet in his head, to be brutally honest. I just thought it was a very, very interesting way to dynamic that.
The way they decided to tell the story was very good, and so I agree. Having it all unfold rather than doing the whole thing where you just go by the book and start with them in England and all that shit, and it's just like the story unfolds as it plays out. You learn stuff as it goes on.
And then I think the acting all around, even henchman number 4. There's nothing that really kind of stuck out to me in the acting. All well rounded all the way around. Do we want to launch into IMFDB?
We can do that. I just want to talk about the uniforms really quick. The SS uniforms.
I was gonna lead that into IMFDB because I wanted to pull up the images.
Yes, let's do it there.
I wanted to talk to you about some of the helmets,
these brown uniforms,
and some of the uniforms, because I know my history. I don't remember them being that color brown, but that's just me. I also know the SS had problems with logistics.
There were brown
weapons.
helmets?
No, the uniforms are brown.
No. Uniforms. They're very brown. They're like I'll pull up a
let's
picture.
just go into it.
Yeah.
But what lead off to what you wanted to talk about though before we jump into that. I want to kind of hear what you unaided. I want to hear what your opinion is.
The uniforms were the SS uniforms in like particular were very weak.
Mm-hmm. Very minimalistic. I felt like.
Well, no, that's not the problem. It's just that they're
Not that they should have A-frames in a full kit. I'm just saying they looked very bare.
It was just shoddy as fuck. It was like random and like
some of them didn't look like they fit the extras who were wearing them.
Well, that's an issue I can look. Well, you're right, but like, yeah.
and
That's 50-50.
It-
Like I can.
A lot of thimble heads.
ill-fitting helmets too.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and they're all repros.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
They're all repros, and
well, okay.
there was also
so,
M42s used.
So you're saying repros in terms of the shape, not the fact that they need original stickers and original paint and all.
Oh
that
no,
other
no,
stuff,
these
'cause-
are all reproduction helmets. I
No,
guarantee.
no. I'm agreeing with
Okay.
you. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, how do I phrase this? You're saying that the shape. I know I know what you're gonna say is that the
Uh-huh.
shapes of the repros suck ass. Correct.
And the features, yes.
In the features. So if someone had a good reproduction of that with
No such animal.
okay.
No, that's what
Okay.
I'm saying. Is like there's no
Okay.
good repros. Like they all
Right.
suck.
So then how would not to put you on a pedestal, but if you had to supply 40 something guys with correct helmets, how would you do that? I'm not
It'd be
trying
a-
to say you're
it'd be a
wrong. I'm just
bitch.
saying like
No, it'd be
Right.
a bitch, and I get that, and that's why I don't like disparage them for using repros. I'm just saying they're all repros and they look like shit.
right.
To the average viewer, nobody's gonna fucking care.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's just like
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
spot that a mile away, and like I think if you use original helmets, like shells and whatever, and you refurbish them, it adds to the subconscious like look of the German soldier or the American. It's like using a Vietnam era fucking shell and liner for World War II US.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm 100% in agreement of that.
Yeah.
I know, because how many episodes is this now? I know I don't ever see them now without going, that's a shitty repro, thanks to you.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
just like, I look at it and I go, okay, what could you do to make this shitty repro not so shitty looking? And I don't
okay,
mean
you could put a cover on it, but that's not accurate for this particular point in time.
right,
And like
right.
you put a cover on it, yes, but like
I feel like you need to have someone to go through all the extras and resize the fucking liner or get a right
fucking-
helmet for the head.
dude,
Because I feel like that's the biggest thing that
pull
you
up
see in
IMFDB
extras.
because we'll see that
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll comment
it's,
on that.
It's Thimblehead City in this, and I saw it this time in spades.
Do you have
I
OBS up so you can actually go through like you did on the last couple?
Yeah.
'Cause I love
yeah,
that. Yeah, good shit.
Yeah, I do it every time. Let me just get the
Yeah.
thing up here.
But yeah, this one was really bad for the helmets.
Yeah, no, it I can understand, like I can forgive it in that sense, but what I don't like is thimble heads and
Well, it's basically like
paint.
as a costume
jobs.
designer, right?
Mhm.
I'm like Patton in the movie, right? You give me 400,000 gallons, I'll get you to Berlin. You give me the budget, I'll get you original fucking shells that are fucking beautiful and that are restored correctly in their correct color with the correct decals and everything. But it's not always possible. So that's why I don't like, I understand why it's done. It's a personal thing with me. Like
Mhm.
you know, it's fucking
Yeah.
annoying.
I can forgive the shapes and the profiles. What I don't like is thimble heads. What I don't like are
Right. And we'll
Roxas
get to that
helmets.
because
Yeah.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Because look, okay, before someone yells at me and says, well, not everyone got the correct size. I know that.
Well, that's the point.
But when some guy who's got like the tiniest head is wearing a helmet that's conked to the right because he's not wearing a correct liner, that's the problem I have.
Or you've got a
There's
fat
no
head like me
fucking
wearing
way.
a size 62 fucking shell.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's
thimble
not
head,
good.
where
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
it's a thimble thumb head. If you
Yep.
ever put a thimble on your thumb, that's what you'll look like if you have the incorrect small helmet size.
All
for
right,
your
let's
stuff.
get this bitch started. Yeah, the Colt 1903 hammerless, good touch.
Yeah.
Very common pistol.
I was hoping to see CZs, but I totally understand why they would have.
Well, yeah, that was mostly
1903s.
military. They had acquired them at that point in 41. So it's like, you know, maybe, but like the 1903 is a great fucking touch.
I think that's one of the last pocket pistols I need to get.
Yeah, it's on my list too of like if I
Yeah.
can get one.
Yeah. The problem is Ronald the Boomer buys them out all from under me, so I can't fucking,
Yep.
Ronald
yeah.
is a dick.
Yeah, Ronald is a dick.
Ronald's the biggest dick. He's just awful.
You hear that, Ronald? You're a dick.
Yeah, 1903. I mean, again, it's like it's a
Yeah.
common.
Everyone has one.
It's like a
yeah,
Glock is nowadays. A Frommerstopp, that was an awesome thing to see.
Yeah. I keep trying, and someone constantly goes above my budget. I just can't
Yep.
get it.
But it's
it was
awesome
really
that
cool
they
to see
actually
that
had
there,
that.
Yeah.
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 P38. Yep. I'm glad they didn't give him a Luger. That was a good touch. Like, he's a fucking NCO in the SS, but he's got a P38. I like that. That was good.
So I thought this was interesting here, because Heydrich was actually armed with a Luger.
Yeah,
They
he
gave him
was.
but they gave
So,
him a PP
I have
instead.
a uniform question. Can you scroll up to that guy right? How come on some SS uniforms they don't have breast eagles? I've noticed that.
No, they don't. They wore them on their arm. They wore them on the left sleeve.
Okay. So did no SS uniforms have breast eagles?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Army, Kriegsmarine, and Luftwaffe had, but the SS is a paramilitary organization. They weren't actually part of the Wehrmacht. Fun fact. But they would wear they wore their eagle, and it was a different eagle, but they wore it on their left sleeve. We'll probably see it later. But yeah, Heydrich actually did have a Luger. Yeah, that's the one thing that I was like, huh?
But I did like it how. I don't want to say I liked that it wasn't correct, but I did like it that it wasn't correct. I don't know.
I'm indifferent. Like, I was just like,
Yeah.
huh? Like I know it would be cliche and like whatever, but he actually was armed with a fucking PO8 when he was
attacked.
killed.
Yeah, which it says right
attacked.
here. Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those. Oh, this is something that drove me fucking nuts.
The MP18.
The MP18 1 or 2
I saw
they had.
a lot of those.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Here, scroll down. Okay. So these guys have M35s on, right? Which is fine for occupation duty. Okay. Mike, you see what I'm saying about the Eagle on?
Oh no,
the guy.
I know they had them on their sleeve. I just didn't know that they didn't have them at all.
That was SS.
Okay.
Yeah, that was, and Hitler himself actually wore it on his.
Yeah,
sleeve.
I know that.
He didn't wear it on his
I know
chest.
that the SS had them on their sleeve. I just didn't know they didn't have any on their breast eagle or where the breast eagle.
Yeah, correct.
Interesting. Okay.
So this fucking thing, it's like, dude, these things were outdated at the time. They would have been using probably MP34 because the SS did have a contract in the late 30s with Schmeisser for a bunch of MP34s, which is arguably the best submachine gun in World War II besides the MP40. But it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Did you have just one and you just kept recycling it?
I was shocked actually because I thought that both of those were MP34s.
Well, they're not.
Both
Yeah.
shots. I know they're not.
They're 18-2s,
at
actually.
now.
I think they're 18-2s. I don't think they're ones. I think they're 18-2s. But anyway, there was so fucking many of them, and I'm like, I think they were trying to like go for the MP34 look, but it didn't. For nerds like me, it didn't work.
But if you look at it though, I mean, if you think about it though, like even here you could probably tell it wasn't for half a second, but it's how long is this on screen? You know, how long is this on screen? I know this isn't on screen very long. This is on screen very long, and I didn't pause to see. So like, it convinced me. But yeah, that's be very very rare if they were to get it. Yeah,
dude. At this point, most of the SS guys would have taken the National Party shield off. Even on
well, it's interesting.
Duty.
This one doesn't have it, but these two do. This guy doesn't
most
have
of these
it,
guys
these two don't have it, but these guys do. You know,
most of those guys would have taken that off. But like, it is what it is. Like, it could have been there, but
yeah.
Also an M42. This guy's wearing a shitty. Okay, so we're at the MP40, right? Yeah, obviously it's used. That guy's wearing an M42 in late 1941, early 1942. No, and it's a shitty repro. It's a really shitty. And he's not wearing it right. It doesn't fit him right. It's no.
First M42 show up at Stalingrad. They have decals and everything.
In like
Fall.
the later part of Stalingrad, though.
Well, yeah, before it got closed November. But yeah, it was like late fall 42s, and they start showing up in the front in very small numbers.
Yeah, and they sent them there mostly. Like, you're not going to see this fucking thing in late 41.
No, you're not. But just everyone thinks it's super late. It's like, well, actually, they started showing up pretty early.
No. They started making them in like late 41. Yeah, but like, again, this is supposed to be late 41, early 42. You're not going to see a fucking M42 helmet. No fucking way. Especially with the SS. My God, their contracts were like backlogged. That's the problem, is they were undersupplied. And so this guy's a private, this old, like 50-year-old private.
Well, I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
okay.
a lot of the German SS guys look like these fat old dudes. You know,
It's just like, come
Yeah.
on. Like, what are we doing here? But like, okay, the Stem Mark II, yeah, the skeleton stock, for sure. 100% accurate. They drop these fucking things all over Europe.
he has the correct charging handle too. The
Yep. The ribbed one.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, you very rarely see that.
Oh, wait, go up for a second. Oh, yeah, so it jammed there. Yeah. You can see,
you see
that,
the round
that was
right
so
there.
good.
That's good detail. Yeah.
Yeah. They actually, whoever the armorer was for this film, did a really good job at showing it jamming. Because that's, I've shot a class 3, like a real Sten. And that's when I had malfunctions. It was the magazine and it wouldn't feed. And that's exactly what the fuck happened. So that's fucking, it's a really good detail. I love that. So, and also the fire rate when they're in the church right here, what we're seeing, the fire rate, that's a Sten. That's the exact fire rate of a Sten.
So to touch on that, I didn't hear. Brian, counter me if you disagree, because you and I are on the same rivalry for MG34s. But I did not. I was not sad or or disappointed by the representation of a 34 in this film.
Me either.
I was about to say,
No.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
It was the exact fire rate. Yep.
Yeah, I think this is the only film that actually nails it right.
The only
be
thing that
brutally honest.
is like the way they were shooting it was just cyclic.
Yeah, they just hold down on the trigger.
And it's like, okay, they would have been trained to shoot in bursts more. But as far as the fire rate and the way it was portrayed, and the fact that it was a fucking
Not
34,
42. Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
30
beautiful.
A
Yeah.
34 that actually was full auto, that actually fired it. They did do it in bursts a little bit, but they mainly want to show the
Yeah.
immense. What they're using they're using it for the immense firepower that it can do, to showcase that they're outgunned, outmatched, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So I understand the reasoning why, but to see it actually perform well and sound awesome is what really did it.
The other problem was no recoil either. Like when you're actually seeing it from like,
but I mean that's the whole film though. like
yeah, true.
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 I mean, but like the cool thing I really liked about it was I guess the only thing that probably would have made me bust in my pants would have been an early war MG34, but even those are being phased out by this point, because the four whole shrouds were being phased out, I think, by 41.
Or weren't they
So-
like going back and getting factory refurbed and shit with new
They
parts?
were, well, yeah, because they were, if they didn't get redone, because it was a structural integrity problem where they were dinging them up so bad that the shrouds were bending and or warping.
Mhm.
It also was wasting fabrication time and all that kind of stuff. So that's why they went to the less patterned hole punch shroud than the full one that kind of mimicked
Mhm.
the MG15.
Yep.
Or no, MG18. One of those two.
Well, it's the 15 was the original.
Is there an 18, or am I making that up in my head?
No, there was, but it was just a modified 15 for
Okay.
air service.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, the 15. So because they were recycling the patterns from the 15s to the 34s, which was the early ones, which I'm still one day gonna fucking get one. Oh my god. And they replaced the milled top cover with a stamped top cover. That was the only difference. In
So-
the two.
Yeah, but like the 34 in this one was completely accurate though for late 41.
for the time,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. We haven't gotten to it
No.
yet. Sorry. I thought
Yeah,
we
we'll
had
get to
Yeah,
it.
the
Yeah, let's-
K98.
Yeah, K98 adopted by
So-
the Wehrmacht in 1936.
So 34. So the
Oh, look at that shitty helmet.
Oh, there's another shot of the
So-
helmet. Oh my god.
So I
Those-
wanted to.
yeah.
So this is what I mean by thimblehead for anyone who is looking. But this is what I wanted to ask you guys, knowing from what I've learned from Brian and from you over the last
It would
year
have been
and a half.
H-bands probably
Is this
at that point.
later? Is this late war?
That's mid to late war, yeah. They would have been
Okay.
probably H-bands, right, Brian?
Because it's the welded one, Brian. Is that? late?
Yeah, that's Krieg's model and stuff, and also that's definitely Krieg's model because it's got a hole in the side of it for a screw, so that's definitely
Oh, right,
wrong,
yeah.
100%. But yeah, H bands are stamped. I'm not sure with the transition because
Well, yeah, I got a stamped one because that one's welded. You're right, Brian.
Stamped
Yeah.
butt plates show up in 41, so that was the transition process.
And mine's got a rework. Mine was 38, but it was reworked in 42 at Mauser Oberndorf, and it's got the stamped, the full one, but this one's like fucking crude. So yeah,
There's some really crude ones out there that I've
but
seen.
that's like really mid to late,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
43 on.
Yeah.
And then the helmets, dude, like those fucking decals. I've never seen worse ones in movies. Well,
Do
actually,
you see this decal is on the rivet or on
It's
the
almost
vent
over.
hole?
Dude,
You see
overlapping
that?
It, yeah.
it was
Same with that one. Yeah.
the fucking regulation was 3 millimeters below centered on the fucking vent hole. That's the regulation. 3 millimeters. That's -1 millimeters. It's in the fucking vent hole. And
It's on the vent hole there.
also the decal is completely fucked. Like, that's not what SS decals look like. You can get them. They're not that expensive. They probably spent more on these fucking pieces of shit than they would have for like accurate ones, and like had somebody like me, just go, hey, I'll buy you lunch if you apply all these decals. And be like, sure. Oh my God, it's just so fucking shitty. Like, and this thing, what the fuck was he carrying? Like,
Double-barreled sawed-off. Yeah.
a Remington Spartan sawed-off shot. What the fuck?
I was
Why?
curious about that. They used that to, I guess, bust the door down. I know. I don't know. I don't know
Jesus
if that's more like a gangster maneuver, like American Gangster.
Right.
Bizarre.
Yeah. So we'll go to the MG34, and you guys can
What did
spot
you
off about
What did
that.
you think of the 34, Brian?
The MG34 was nice. No, it was interesting. And again, it kind of holding up in a church, a stone church, kind of negates light machine guns. All you can really do is suppress. So it was nice to show that, it was kind of a mitigating factor. But every time we did see a 34, it was really cool. And it's not like a lot of films where it's like a PCAM in the back and an MG34 shroud. So kudos to the armor.
And they did load up dummy rounds, guys.
They actually
didn't load up blanks.
Exactly.
There's a caveat for that. Every time you guys point that out to me, and I'm like, eh.
Yeah, same scene.
So yeah, that's
Also, the SS officer is not going to be wearing a
1, 2,
fucking
3.
visor cap in a combat situation. I hate that shit. It's all about the symbology of like, oh, he's the officer of the SS. It's like,
Well,
he's
Mike, how
wearing
you
a
gonna
fucking
know?
helmet.
How you gonna know who the boss is? Okay.
Right,
The
exactly.
worst one ever of that is at the end of Fury, when they're like climbing on top of the tank, and the guy's like,
How did that
yeah,
look?
he's like, what is this?
Yeah,
Guy looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's at Nuremberg, or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Model
I wanted to talk
24s.
about this.
Yeah.
Mike B, what did you think of the grenades going off?
So M24s, they had a pretty thin casing to them. If you really want to compare it to like the Mark II
Mhm.
or like the Mills bomb or any of the other European things, and it's weird because they would. So the M24 was a. Do you want the whole spiel or do you want the TLDR?
Give me as much of a spiel as you want to give me.
So the Model 1915 and the Model 17 grenades that were on sticks, the stick grenades, right? That we all know them as.
Uh-huh.
They're offensive grenades. And so they started out in World War I, and the stormtroopers would be throwing them as fast as they fucking could into the position that they were about to go into. Now, these are not meant to be fragmentation grenades. These are meant to be like mostly concussive. And yeah, they will spit up fragmentation. Yes. But they're not made for that. They're made to be offensive grenades. That's why they had the egg grenades in World War II, the M39s. Those were
Right, yeah.
defensive and offensive because those actually did spit out fragments.
Right.
So if it blows up next to you, yeah, you're going to be fucked up because it's going to be loud as shit. And you might get a couple chunks of metal in you or shit that it kicks up like glass or whatever. But, and so in this film, I mean, it's okay. Like it's not bad. It's not great.
It's not fireballs. Number
No,
one.
because they're not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And so,
no,
yeah, it's,
no, like so like I'll tell you a few things that I thought were really good representation, and I want to hear your opinion. I do think the guy who crunches on a cyanide pill and then shoots himself in the head, I think that grenade was for cinematic effect. I think it was way too big for one. That's just me personally. But I liked all of the other ones that went off. I really liked like when the guy's crawling down the hallway and all the grenades are like landing behind him and they go off in that concussive manner, not in a fragmentation manner. And I did like something that I had never really seen before, was blood pouring out of the ears and the nose after they would go off semi-near, which supports their concussive observation. And I think that is a good detail. Do I think they use them for dramatic effect in an action movie? Yes. But I do really like the way they were interpreted in this film a lot more than all the other ones we've seen recently.
Not bad, because it's like the other thing I would actually have a bigger problem with in the actual like in action is they would have had these outside of the building in the boxes, and they also did not come assembled. That's the thing, is these things would come in a box with all the parts. And so on the early M24s, it says Vor Gebrauch Sprengkapsel einsetzen. It says before using, set the fuse. The heads would come separate. The handles would come with the rope and the whatever. You would install the fuse, and then you would put the fucking head on the stick, and then it would be live, like good to go, ready to use.
Okay. Is
And
that
so-
your... Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was your question?
Well, I was going to say, was your argument going to be the fact that they opened up the box and they started handing them out?
Yes,
to
that's
people?
my
Is that
argument.
what you mean?
That's what I didn't like.
My only counter argument would be like, wouldn't you have that prep before you go into the building?
No, because they're the wrong boxes. They were the wrong everything. Like it wasn't. It was just fucking.
Okay, so
But here's the thing: is like, yeah, what I was gonna say too.
yeah,
Besides all that is, before you go in the building, you're gonna be giving grenades to guys. They're gonna be throwing them in their belts or their pockets or whatever, or their boots. You're not gonna be doing that while you're in there, because here's the thing: is if they can fucking take that out or throw a grenade at that box, they're fucked. So it was dumb. It was cinematic. And
It's
it was
cinematic.
Like theatric.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
okay.
theatric.
No, I
They
agree.
would've
I
given it-
agree. Once you pointed
Yeah.
that out, I agree with you. Yeah.
They would have given that to them outside, and they would have gone in their belts, and they would have been also specialized. Have been like, you guys are going to be doing this when we go up there, and so and they also I mean, you could have assembled them beforehand, but there was no special box for assembled grenades. You'd have to adapt, and maybe they could have whatever, but like that's the only beef that I have with that whole scene.
I even though it may not be correct, I do still appreciate showcasing that. Maybe you should have done it outside the church and it would have been more of an impact.
Yeah.
But I that's just something you never see. So like it's those little things that you don't normally see in those kind of movies or in movies like this. And I'm just kind of like, that's why I was thinking about
Yeah.
it.
That would be kind of cool. I mean, we did see
cool.
the fire brigade getting their fire hoses ready. So yeah.
That was, and they were Czech. That's
Yeah.
fun. With the M30 helmets, but they were
Have you
weird.
have you guys ever seen the I'll pull it up after this. Have you guys ever seen the church, the real church?
No.
I'll pull it up after this. I want to go over that near the end.
Okay.
Let's get through
Okay.
this.
I've seen the actual window where they were shooting, and there's like bullet holes. all
Yeah,
over
that's
it.
what I
Yeah.
mean. Yeah. I'll pull that up in a second.
Jan uses a modified. What the fuck is this?
This is the hand.
That's
this
the
is
impact grenade.
grenade.
And is that the Czech grenade?
It says it's an anti-tank hand grenade thermos flask grenade.
He
I don't
modifies
know
it,
what-
though,
Number
but,
73. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Click on the thing there. See what country it's
Yeah,
from.
click on
this?
the number 73 Mark 1.
Ah. It's
That happens to me
You
too.
done goofed.
Ugh, God. Go away. I don't care. Whatever
Did
the
you
hell
have fucking
you're trying to
ad
sell me.
block? Jesus Christ.
I do.
No,
it
yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't
ad
do it
block
for me
this.
either.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's-
nobody.
It just says an MK1 hand grenade. Comment.
Oh, really?
Um,
Thanks. It's
yeah.
a fucking grenade. It looks like a fucking thermos, but yeah. Okay, yeah. So Jan does that. Oh, that's it for AmFTB?
It says that
That's it, yeah.
this. I just
What?
looked it up. It says the number 73. That's British, I guess.
Okay,
Okay.
so the British dropped. Really? Well, yeah, number would.
Yeah, well, they got
okay, I
Sten
guess
guns.
it would be.
So
Yeah.
let me
they-
pull up this church.
yep. And here on the page for the number 73 grenade, it specifically says that a modified version of this was used in the assassination of Reinhard Heydrich. So they got that right.
the things that they fucked up in this film are pretty forgivable. So
there's the underneath.
the crypt they were in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's the window.
Oof. Yeah. Oof. Damn.
There's the church.
Uh-huh.
Here are the impacts and the windows.
The steeple?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Open the doors, see all the people.
Fuck both of you.
Shut up, the both of you. Fuck.
You sanctimonious fucks.
Couldn't help it.
At least somebody picked up on it.
There's his car, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, the whole.
Well, his car. I know his car got really fucked up. Like it was done.
Yeah, that'll buff out.
It'll buff out.
But yeah, the
Yeah.
whole like laying him out there and all that kind of stuff. Here are the fire. This is what I also wanted to look up. Here are the fire.
Oh wow! They actually
Holy
have an
shit.
image of that. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You can see the fresh bullet scabs on it.
Look at all the holes in the windows too for that.
Jesus Christ! Yeah.
Remember, this is where my friend buys his weed. Everyone remember that. So there you go.
Well, it's good. At least he's buying weed. Oh, there's a picture of an old dude standing right in front of it. That's a good picture.
Yeah, there you go.
God damn,
Ronald,
man.
Ronald, why are you in the picture? Get out.
Yeah, Ronald.
Jesus. Ronald. Oh wow, look at that. It's all got like writing on the pictures and stuff on the picture
Oh
and all that
shit.
kind of stuff.
Oh shit. So that's
Yeah,
what actually
the car is
happened.
right there on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow.
See, look, it has the way they got away. Like, look, there's arrows.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's got the names. It's got the names of all of them on there too. Let me try to pull this one up.
Oh, that's not any better. Like.
No, I'm about to.
He's learning, Mike. He's
Fuck it up, Nathan.
Oh, so
Yeah.
they slowed that fucking car down. Yeah, on a really like that's a 180-degree turn.
Mm-hmm.
They slowed it
So
down.
so see how he steps out here.
Yeah.
Or hold on, let me see if I can read this well. There was someone who was shot in the film.
They get hit in the leg.
His driver got
Yeah.
shot.
That might be the guy that was.
Mm,
Yeah, it might be the guy that was actually going through the cart, like between the two.
mm-hmm.
And then
I'd
he was
have to-
helped up, or I don't know.
I should have looked up the fucking report, see if I could have found the actual report.
Nate, are you fucking serious?
I'm stupid. It's okay.
Heydrich assassination?
Shut up! I can't spell. Nonetheless, German. Anyway, I can't find what I need, so it's okay. We can move on. All right, let's go
Yeah,
to
so-
final thoughts, gentlemen.
Yep.
Who wants
I
to
agree.
lead?
I'm not gentle.
Or am I a man?
I'm a
Oh!
man. I am a man.
Brian, you've got the torso of a 12-year-old Dutch boy. Like, you're very gentle. Don't fool yourself.
Hey, at least I don't have the torso of a fucking ox working the field. The John fucking Deere,
John Deere is a good brand. They make good shit.
Yeah, you're the ox that broke his back where you made a tractor. Yeah, fuck this shit.
Yeah. Right on.
Well, cause I'm here, I'll just keep on rambling.
Fine.
It's a great movie. It's really well done. It's held up. Probably the third or fourth time I've seen it, and yeah, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's really awesome, and it's probably the best Resistance film in the last, definitely since the turn of the century. That's for sure. The last 20 years, definitely top 5.
I'll be quiet.
That's okay.
That's what she said. So
And she died.
And then she died. Damn it!
It's my fucking line.
that being said, I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. It's a very good movie. It's very enticing. It pulls you in. Just all around awesome. So that being said, I pass the impact grenade to you, Michael. It's like a popgun kernel exploding.
Hey.
As he's stuffing his goddamn
Chew the
face.
popcorn right into the mic for me, please. Oh God,
Bro.
yes.
That's good shit.
ASMR.
You guys get
heaven,
some free
yeah.
ASMR on this bitch. What the fuck? You should be paying for this.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
We gotta make it.
Yes.
That's a
We have a combination of a mukbang and an MSR there.
So,
It's yeah. Let's see Mike Ackerman get fat as fuck doing mukbangs. like
Ooh.
fucking Nico Avocado did. So
Yeah, I was surprised by it. I thought it was really good. Again, I love how I love the way the like it again it felt very like nothing is safe. Even though they're with this family and stuff like that, I like how the two main leads weren't for from the start. They weren't like brothers in arms necessarily. They were just like two guys doing a job. I mean, they got closer as it went on, closer in terms of their relationship as it went on. But I liked how they weren't like super close friends. And again, it really seemed like this is a dangerous place. It's a dangerous job, and we're likely going to get caught. I like that feel of it. That they were able to do that very well, and I like the whole assassination scene, which we've gone over already. Acting was good. Obviously, like every movie, there has some little things in it that I can gripe about, but overall, solid movie that really does not show the resistance or commandos in a inspiring way, I guess I should say. Which I like that. I like how fucking just miserable it all seemed. If in a way to where it's accurate. So yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And I will pass it on to Mike B.
yeah, like you guys said, it was again, it just brings. It's really good when like I knew about something that was so fucking finite and, as Brian says, Nietzsche. But I learned today that's a New England thing. It's not just you that says that. It's a New England thing. So I'll give you about 75% as much shit as I usually do for that. But yeah, a very niche like topic of like, because like most people that study World War II, they're like, oh, Saving Private Ryan and everything. And you say, hey, you know who Reinhard Heydrich was? They're like, who? It's like, no, that guy was an evil son of a bitch, like very nasty dude. And then you go, do you know how he died? And
Randy
it's like,
Harddick? No, I don't
yeah,
know.
Randley Harddick. To be serious, is nobody knows about this story unless you're a real like dedicated historian. And well, I shouldn't say nobody. I shouldn't speak in absolutes. I know, but like very few people that I've talked to that know about World War II, quote unquote, know about this guy and the fact that he did actually get assassinated in Czechoslovakia in 1942. And the more attention this brings to people, and I don't understand why this didn't do better at the box office. I really don't. This should have been in like every theater. Like it was a really well-made film.
Do you want me to get you some stats real quick?
Yeah, please do. But like it just seems like it's such a well-made film that people should watch it, and then even if they don't go and research it, they can still go, okay, yeah, these guys did this, and there's not a happy ending. Spoiler alert, okay? It's not a happy ending because it really wasn't in real life. There was nobody won out of that. Everybody fucking failed, except the people that were saved by these people who died to kill this one evil fuck. And so, yeah, like you said, Mike, it's like, it's not all happy-go-lucky, whatever. Like I said earlier, the part that I didn't like was just the whole like drawn-out torture scene. It's like you could have done that, I think, in a lot less. You could have saved about 20 minutes out of the film, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. It doesn't fucking hold any water, but like, I think that was drawn out, and like the whole like the pursuit scene and everything. Like, yeah, I get it. Like you want to show that, but it was just whatever. And again, that's just my personal thing. So that kind of brought it down a little bit, but the acting was fantastic. The overall plot was really good. The writing was very good. The acting, again, was like, Cillian Murphy, honestly, I don't think he's the best actor in the world, and that's going to be a very fucking controversial statement. But he actually came through in this one, even with his fake fucking.
It's a very controversial statement, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, I know you jerk off to the Irish every fucking day, Nate. We all know that. Like, I don't give a shit. But his Irish accent did come out a lot. Did you hear that? Like when he's trying to
Well,
do the
it's
Czech
funny.
accent.
It's funny. It's 2 Irish actors playing 2 Czech
Right,
guys.
right. It's
So
like,
it's like, you know.
but yeah, you can't teach because Czech is a very difficult language. But anyway, getting sidetracked. But he did a good job. Everybody. I think the other actors did a lot better than he did. And again, that's gonna be a controversial thing, but they all like it. It felt real. It was like, again, when you're acting, you should make it feel real. You should not be acting. You should be just yourself in that situation. And I think they really pulled that off, especially with the shootout at the end. They actually did tactics that would have been done by amateurs or guys that weren't totally trained, that had some training maybe, but like, I just thought it was fucking cool the way they did the shootout scene and like the stun guns and everything. And yeah, the pistoleering, maybe a little bit American Western, but whatever. So yeah, all right, I'll stop ranting. I'll also give it a 7 out of 10.
So that leaves me. So, to answer your question, Mike, it had a budget of $9 million.
That's not a lot.
No,
For what
it only got
they did.
for what they did and where they filmed it, considering they had to film in Prague and replicate things.
That's
and
not
make
a lot at all.
Not 9 million. It only made 5.3.
Oof.
But I want to propose a future movie, not anytime soon, but in the future, once we've had time to chew this one over. There is apparently another movie called The Man with the Iron Heart. It's exactly the same premise, exactly the same story. $32 million.
When was it made?
A year later, 2017.
By whom?
Director, you mean, or production company?
Yeah, by who, I guess, not whom.
Does that one end where Heydrich lives and it's springtime for Hitler?
I don't know. It didn't. Well, here's the thing. It's
What
by
if history?
It's by Cedric Jimenez, and the other one was by Anthropoid's by Sean Ellis. But the thing is that The Man with the Iron Heart was a $32 million budget. It only made $4.4 million.
Oh, wow.
That is a fail right there.
So that's a box office bomb,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. So
Somebody lost a hand.
yeah, so and it has a score
Well,
of
what the fuck?
6.4, and
Oh.
and Anthropoid has 7.2.
So what
So
the
I'd
fuck
like-
happened with this? Like, was it distribution? Because I had never heard of this, to be honest with you. You guys said
What's
we're
this
watching
movie called?
The other one,
Yeah.
The Man with the Iron Heart. It looks not great, but
It has Rosamund Pike in it.
What I
Okay.
want to propose is that after we've had time to think on this and chew on it, I want to compare it to Anthropoid in a later date. I'd like to do that.
Okay, because yeah, like I that's why I said I don't understand why this didn't do well. Like, and why I didn't know about it. That's the thing, is I didn't know about it at all.
Well, so in 2016, I actually saw this in theaters, and because I'm a Cillian Murphy fan, and it just so happened to to mesh the two, I went and saw it and I loved it. And man, it was really cool in theaters. Like all in all, that was really for the sound and all that kind of stuff. But to dive down I guess my final thoughts is like, I've said a lot of things repeatedly, and I am a fan of this movie. I think I'm going to be the highest tonight, but I really feel like it is very rare when you find, in my opinion, good acting, good sound, good cinematography, good storytelling, actually, for the most part. It's rare to get all four to actually work together as well as this one did. It does have its flaws. It does have a few things that I don't necessarily like, in actually talking with you guys tonight. There's a few other things I kind of noticed. But I think I'm going to give it a healthy 9 Scream Mel Gibsons out of 10. Just because I really, really like the story that is told. I really like the presentation of it. I really like the sound. I really like the action in it. As realistic, I think, as it can be. And I appreciate it. And I think that's what I really draw from this, is I see the attempt. As much as I see thimbleheads, as much as I see bad stickers on helmets, as much as I see a MP18, as much as I see Western gunplay pistol work a little bit, I do see the attempt and I do enjoy it. And I do actually really like the historical accuracy, for the most part, of the events that happened.
The ambush was
of
great,
this.
dude.
Yeah.
It was
Like,
fucking great.
I wish I had prepared a little bit more. I was very rushed today with my schedule, but I wish I had prepared just a little bit more, because if I remember correctly, in terms of it actually being showcased in the film, it's really, really spot on with the actual with the events that they show in the film. You know, the flooding of the basement, what was said, because that was all transcribed, that was all recorded, because they had to show that they killed these guys, you know, legitly. So they had records of it, pictures. We pulled them up. You know, we saw the firemen flooding the basement, the bodies in front of the street of the church being lit up and all that stuff. You know, they wanted to showcase that they had killed the uprising. There was no more uprising, no more resistance in Prague. I think it is very, very, and I think it's a very important story to document and have done, and I think this one's done it very well.
Yep.
I think it would be very interesting, like I said, to go over that other film, because I've never heard of the other film, and doing a quick little deep dive, I can see why. But I am sad that this film didn't get as much, you know, whatever, you know, interest in general. You hear about it in our, you know, in the community of war film nerds and all that kind of stuff as a really good movie. But most of the time, unless you're on the war page thing, you don't really see it.
This is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
When you guys were like, "We're watching this week," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
So something got fucked up in marketing.
I don't think it was very well broadcast in the States, I think. Also, remember, it's 2016. I only what the fuck was going on in 2016? I only remember it feels like a lifetime.
Harambe.
Harambe.
Press F in the chat. Yep.
Press F.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's a blast from the past.
If you're driving, pull over.
Was Harambe 2016?
No, I think it was. No, it was 6. I'm pretty sure it was here. Let me just Google it really quick.
It was 16 or 17.
It was
because I remember
early 16. I'm pretty sure.
That's when everything went to shit.
Because I was working at a
Everything.
specific place when that
Yep,
happened.
yep. May 28th. Oh shit! Almost to the day in 2016. And 2016
Salute.
was like
Thanks,
fucking,
Obama.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Obama. You let
Wait a
that
minute.
happen.
Wait a second. What day did you say what
May
what was the
28th,
specific date?
2016. Harambe
May
got
28th.
shot at the. And then
We
May
ju-
28th?
May 28th. Yeah.
We
2016.
just passed the anniversary for that. Wow.
That's what I said. Almost to the day. 3 days. Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind. Because the assassination on and
The assassination of Harambe.
no.
Heydrich was
That's
May
not what I said.
27th, right?
Yeah. The assassination of Heydrich was on May 27th.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of different ways that we
Yeah.
could take this, you know.
So May 27th, Heydrich. May 28th, Harambe.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Shit.
And then May 31st, this podcast.
It's basically that thing from It's Always Sunny where Charlie's got the fucking stringboard set up.
Pepe Silva. Or Pepe Silva. There we go.
And here's the thing, man. And he's got the cigarette burning in his. Yeah, freaking beautiful.
From now on, though, I'm going to refer to it as the assassination of Harambe. Anytime that someone talks about Harambe.
Yeah, you know, he was at the top of the book depository with the Lee Carcano, and he opened up on him.
The Lee Carcano.
Yes, it is
All
satire.
right, we're fucking done.
Satire,
We got
So
fucking.
what's your ranking, Nathan?
I said it was a 9.
Awesome.
Old
And-
Bay Meat Spin. That's the section of podcast we're on right now, right? Is this when everything goes to shit and it's the end of it? Yeah.
And Birch, what's yours? I didn't catch yours because I'm an idiot.
For fuck's sake,
Man, you are
No,
so
he's tired.
He's fucking
Yeah.
tired. And whatever. It's 7.
Spin me right round, baby, right round. I just got done listening to Centurion after like almost a year.
I thought you were about to say, I just got done visiting Meat Spin.
No, that was yesterday.
That was back in 2006.
Yeah. Is that even still around anymore? I don't want to give my
I don't know.
I'm not clicking. I'm not looking it up. Someone look it up who's not afraid.
I remember WowOMG.com used to be like a proxy link to it.
There's a ton of proxy
Putting-
links. Yeah.
Putting
Okay.
all of these numbers into Alan Turning's computer to see if actually we will be able to kill Mr. Heydrich.
How many spins did you get?
7.875. So, you know.
Not
it's
bad.
Not bad.
We always have liftoff with a helicopter, but we're not going to be sustained. So, no, it's a really good movie. It's definitely worth watching.
Oh,
And,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, no, check it out if you haven't. And no, or go to the church in Prague and buy some weed there. So
Yeah, go buy your weed, and go to Prague, go to the back of it, and just sit there, and someone will give you weed.
Pay your respects and light up a blunt.
Yeah.
It's just Prague is just one of those beautiful cities in Europe, and it escaped bomber Harris's terror at the end of the war.
It also was the last city that the Mongols got to. It really was.
Yeah.
They got to the gates of Prague, and the Europeans were like, no.
What's that bridge where they like hanged a bunch of people on it or
Hung.
beheaded them or something?
Thank you for saying hanged and not
Thank you,
hung.
sorry.
Yeah, it's hanged.
Oh,
Is it
you
hanged?
fucker! You were.
What did I say?
You said hanged, and it was correct, and I was like, "Thank
Brian corrected you and said,
Oh,
Brian's a fucking.
I normally flip it and say
Brian's
it
a
the wrong
fucking moron from New England.
I'd rather be
Don't-
on this side of the Hudson than yours.
So what's that?
Again,
what's that
I'm
bridge?
not
Does
the
it-
ox that broke John Deere's back.
Okay, hold on. Before we rehash the same argument 14 million times, what's the bridge? Does someone Jamie me, please?
George Washington.
Find me what the bridge is in Prague where they hanged a bunch of people on it and beheaded them or something. There's some famous bridge.
We'll answer this question next podcast with.
Oh, and if you still play Call of Duty World War II, Anthropoid is Prague in the map. So there you go.
Charles
There's
Bridge,
your little trivia.
apparently.
Tolls Bridge.
It's the Charles Bridge.
Charles Bridge.
Yeah, if you're fucking listening. It's a medieval sun arch bridge that crossed the. You can't do that. It's fucking Slavish at the Havel River in Prague, Czech Republic.
God.
Its construction started in 1357 under the
Whoa.
auspices of whatever, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so there we go. I guess that's it. It's probably not right because somebody from what is now Cheshire would be like, no, you're not correct on this one. And I tell you what, I'm going to correct you in the comments, but I'll be very polite about it because I'm Czech.
I didn't know they were Irish.
Okay, penis. We're done here. We're fucking done here.
I made that joke last time. It actually makes sense now with this one since it's
Yeah,
Irish
it
guys
does. It
playing
does.
Czechoslovakia. So they're
Yeah,
Irish.
so go fuck yourself. How about that?
On that note, see you guys next week.
Later.
Jesus Christ.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.
Ugh. No WWII, World War II, circle back, Czech Republic, Prague, let's go.
I hope you were recording that. That should just be the intro right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50 Shades of Grey, go. Because he's in that movie, isn't he?
Who?
The dude
Are we ready?
who was in Siege of Jadotville, wasn't he in 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes, he was.
We're not talking about Siege of Jadotville. Like, Brian.
The guy.
He was in Siege of Jadotville, who's in this movie.
The guy. Yeah, the other.
You
the guy who's
face
not-
blind motherfucker.
The guy who's not Killian Murphy was the main guy in Siege of Jadotville.
Your mic is doing Mike Ackerman.
It's
Okay,
doing the
are we-
act.
Oh
Can
my
you
god!
can you
for fuck's
can you
sake.
tweak
God.
can you tweak things?
I tweak things. I'll tweak things.
Can you
all
tweak
right.
things back to where they were good?